okay, guys. I know we just did Pearl, and I know I sound silly. Got COVID, yada yada. Slowly feeling better, but we gotta work, baby. Anyway, people keep asking me to watch this Pearl video. I don't know. You know, I guess when it rains, it pours. People really want me to watch this. It's from, I think it's from Brittany Venti, right? Yeah, and they said, "Papa, God, please." Like a bunch of people, like surprising amount of people, just in comments. They wanted me to watch this video about Pearl, and it's called "The Discount Female Andrew Tate." So, yeah, I guess we'll, you know, let's catch that bag. Am I right? Or not?
You gotta go, man. You gotta go. Right, you gotta go. You're wild.
That 10K viewers.
This might be your platform, but respect
Okay, okay, goodbye. Go.
Cool, everyone, bro. So that's why she's angry.
I watched that whole stream. It was crazy.
Get out. Get out.
Get out of town.
Get the f out of my apartment. Get out.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
That clip you just watched is of Hannah Pearl Davis, a 26-year-old YouTuber, the latest addition to the Manosphere. Often,
can I just say though, and I mean I could be wrong, but I feel like people use this specific picture of Pearl to be disrespectful. Because like it's not her best picture. You know, it's just not. And listen, I got plenty of not my best pictures out there. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying that's how it comes off to me, as like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, let's kind of do this. You know what I mean? Am I the only one who thinks that? I might be, but I'm just saying.
referred to as the female Andrew Tate. Pearl runs a YouTube channel centered around the Manosphere, hosting some of the classiest women our society has to offer.
Right, let's go there. You want to come back in the past and embarrass yourself again? Do you want to scream? Is that what you want? Let's go!
Pearl's channel is...
It is true, man. Like a lot of these Manosphere people in general, they find like some people that aren't super balanced. It's usually like a lot of younger people. It's one of two things. It's either somebody who's like really young and like inexperienced and ignorant that they can make look stupid, or it's somebody who's like older and kind of used to be that like young, inexperienced, ignorant person. So that's what it seems to be, just in general. They don't really talk to like a wide variety of different women. It's mostly like one type of woman, you know, which is why they think all women are immature, because they just really deal with immature women. And I think it's intentional.
Heavily inspired by Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit.
Women in general, especially in the United States, England, whatever it may be, are not held accountable for their poor decisions.
Men are trash. That's common in society, right? Women are trash isn't. Men are held accountable.
I guess. I don't know. Women are trash, bro. Fuck them. Everybody's trash.
All the time, every day.
All these women are born with value. They're pretty already. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value.
Women are born with value. Men must create their value. A guy doesn't lose his value just because he picks the wrong woman once.
Yeah, but then these Manosphere people will talk about how age doesn't make like a man lose their value, but age makes a woman lose their value. So like, I don't. It's really very inconsistent. What's interesting is that like they all think that a woman's explicit value is just based on how attractive they are, when that's just not the case. There are some women who can just skate by and like, of course, anybody who's attractive. It's called the halo effect. Anybody who's attractive is going to like have an easier time in life than anybody else. It's the truth, but you know, not all women are attractive. Not all men are attractive. You know, so there's just my thing is that there's just different struggles that men and women have, and it's like, why? Instead of crying about like how the other person has it better, why not just advocate for your own? Instead of making your whole podcast, because all it is just blaming women for like all the problems of men. Like talk about men's real issues instead of blaming women for everything. Because for like a male, they pretend to be male advocation, but it's mostly just like blaming women. And like, it's just creating a victim complex. We have enough victim complexes, okay? We have enough of that on TikTok. You know, like everybody needs to take a little bit more accountability for themselves while also advocating for a better system. But Jesus Christ.
Men are attracted to youth, beauty, and fertility. It's been that way since the beginning of time.
Men value purity and youth. Purity, youth, beauty.
You can really get those brain juices flowing as you...
It's so weird, bro. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess. But I don't think so. I feel like, listen, every once in a while, everybody's going to want to jerk off to, you know, young girls on Pornhub, okay? Legal young girls. But like, I don't really have a particular value in like younger people from like, okay, I'm not trying to say I don't value younger people, but like I appreciate more of like an older, experienced person that has like a little bit more of their shit together and knows a little bit more of what's going on with themselves. And so, yeah, like this idea, yeah, it's just weird to me. It's like, I feel like we're just kind of like on the wrong page here. I feel like men don't just value women that are conventionally attractive, that it's a little bit more than that. So, but I guess I could be wrong. But I don't know. At least no men, like the men that I like. Of course, you might look at a young girl and go like, "Oh, she's pretty." But then at the end of the day, you also realize that like, a young pretty girl isn't going to be able to do dick for shit for you in a relationship because they don't really like. They don't know anything. Like that, you need somebody with a little more experience. You know, a 20-year-old is not going to make as good of a mother as like a 30-year-old that you've been with. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, that's all I'm saying. I think it's also a silly thing to just look at a woman and go like, oh, she's older, so she's less valuable. Like, that's silly. Would you say that about your own mother? You know what I mean? I wouldn't. You know, of course you're going to love your mother. As time goes on, everybody's going to change. You know? And their value to the world will change. You know what I mean?
You tune into yet another episode of the groundbreaking discussion, What's Wrong with Modern Women? Which are about as thought-provoking as an episode of Jerry Springer. Or alternatively, if that gets boring, you can tune into an episode of Why Men Cheating is Actually Okay.
Right? Men really have to work to become attractive. That's why I laugh at y'all when you tell me, well, men shouldn't cheat and they shouldn't do this. Men have to bust their ass to become attractive to even be seen.
What if a woman cheats? Can men accept that?
She belongs to the street.
You don't think it's different for men and for women cheating?
No.
I think it can be a little bit different. Like, here's my thing, right? Overall, first of all, we don't even really need to engage in this conversation. We're going to, but like, because cheating is bad regardless. Cheating is like a deep violation of trust. I do think that men tend to be a little bit more physical when it comes to their cheating. It's not really about like any lacking love. It's just about like maybe men being men a little bit, but it's still wrong. Right. And I guess even saying the term men being men might be like a little dismissive of how bad it is. You know, you make a contract when you get in a relationship with somebody that you're not going to cheat on them and that they can feel secure in the fact that you're just going to be exclusively for them. And then violating that's just shitty. It destroys that contract and it can cost you, you know, an incredibly valuable relationship that you can never rebuild again. It's really difficult to find somebody to be with and somebody to love. And like, there's plenty of different people out there for everybody because like everybody has a type and then you build from there. But you know, if you're 30, 40 years old and you've been with somebody for 20 years, you're never going to be able to get that back again. You know, and some relationships end, but and if you destroy that trust though, you'll never get that back. I could never find a woman that I could go through the same things that I've gone through with than my wife. Sorry if I said that the wrong way. But I could never find a woman that I'd be able to have a comparable experience to my wife. My wife and I met and like we've gone through a lot of struggle and there's no way I'll ever be able to find somebody who understands me like that. And when you're sitting there as a man and you're horny as fuck, you have to think like, is it really worth, you know, the 10 minutes of satisfaction or gratification to destroy, you know, in a relationship that you took your entire life to build? And it's just not going to be, you know, and I think people need to put that in perspective because like, another thing for men is like, it's like fucking impulsive. You know, you got to get kind of move through that fucking urge or you really could destroy a relationship. You don't want to do that. You could be ruining your entire life and you won't even know it. So, you know, don't take this shit for granted. Don't take a good woman for granted. And women, don't take a good man for granted or, you know, if you're gay, whatever, you get my point. So.
I think that like women like to be cheated on.
But Pearl didn't always have these takes. In fact, she used to say the polar opposite, especially about Fresh and Fit, who she is now emulating.
I know a lot of girls that actually waited until they were married and stayed a virgin until they were married. And I can tell you that the guys on Fresh and Fit podcast would never be able to pull a girl like that.
It's interesting considering that Pearl's current branding revolves around telling women that their standards are too high and that...
Wait a minute. Is this going to be like a really deep exposing video that I was expecting like another kind of like... You know, Pearl's bad video, which obviously, you know, that's all we do here. I didn't expect. I just say this looks like she really dug deep into this one. This is gonna be something else.
If you want a high value man that you have to tolerate him cheating.
People think I'm condoning cheating. People think I'm encouraging cheating. No.
Like, I think if a woman cheats, she's trying to leave you. If a man cheats,
yes.
He's just like, it's like a handshake.
See, that's the problem. It's like, I can somewhat agree in the sense that like, I think it's a little different. Like women cheating in my experience, it seems like it's more about like something like maybe they're ready to move on. But there are also going to be women that will act more like men or men that act more like women in that sense. But like, it's not like a handshake, right? If you want to say like, hey, I think if a woman cheats, it might be a bigger indicator of the relationship having a bigger problem. And if a man cheats, it may just be him like really just horny. But I wouldn't say it like that. Like, it's just not just like a handshake. It's still like a really big destruction of trust. And what you have to understand is like, anytime somebody has sex with somebody, like feelings are going to be generated from that. Like once you have sex with somebody, you're developing an emotional relationship with them, whether you want to like admit that or not. Nobody can completely separate that. And you're giving away part of like your emotional capacity to somebody else when you cheat. Like when you have sex with anybody else, even if you're in a poly relationship, you're giving away a part of like your ability or part of your emotional capacity to somebody else. And it's not fair to the person that you told them that you're just going to be with them and you're just, that emotional capacity is just for them.
Women act like this is the most unforgivable thing, that he is the ultimate bad guy, the ultimate demon if he does this. I'm sorry, sometimes you contributed to it.
All right, cool. I remember Terry Crews. I like Terry Crews. Apparently he cheated on his wife and he talks about it in like great length. And he talks about how like he made this decision that was the worst thing that he's ever done in his entire life, and that he like destroyed his relationship with his wife. And now every single day he like works to prove that he can be trusted again. And I respect that, because at the end of the day, like making that mistake is wrong, but there's still a pathway back as long as you're ready to, you know, really go in on it and like really do what it takes. Like you can be forgiven for that, but like it's not just like, oh, oops, you like bumped into me, forgiven. Like you've destroyed and devalued an entire relationship. Like you have to earn that back. You know what I mean? And you've destroyed the trust. And now like little decisions that you make, you know, your spouse might want to know exactly what you're doing now. Oh, where are you going? You don't get that freedom anymore because you violated that. And like if you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, so these are things to keep in mind. All right, just do what I do. Jerk off to VR porn, guys. It's very realistic. I can't even laugh anymore. Just jerk off to VR porn, guys. All right, it's fucking based.
And women take no accountability for that. And that he wants to go to the bar with his buddies because you make that shit a hellhole. Because you are so unpleasant to be around. And that man forgives you for all of that shit.
Oh
but you can't forgive him for stepping out once,
okay,
twice.
Okay.
You guys are crazy.
Somebody told me that apparently, and I don't know if this is true, I can't confirm it, but a lot of people have been telling me that Pearl cheated in her relationship. So I wonder if this is like I wonder if like her stance on this is just like a huge cope to be like, oh, I cheated, it's not that big of a deal, like you should have just forgiven me angry reactions, you know what I mean? But then again, that could be not true. Maybe people are just like fucking goofing on her and they're just lying.
Cheating, no biggie. I think it's safe to say that Pearl has changed her business plan in order to make money off of the manosphere, because people's opinions don't normally change so drastically in morality, especially in such a short amount of time.
Now me, I'm not selling anything.
Based on what I know through observation, her particular target audience is a male. This is where Pearl's content and marketing sits. She is constantly hitting pain points and triggers. The challenges and the pain points for her particular customer, client, and fan is not being heard, not being seen, not feeling valued, and not having access to women. So she talks about this constantly, right? And she's talking to women, right? Women which this particular customer, client, or fan does not have access to and wants access to. One way to draw in this particular customer is to continue to hit this customer's pain point over and over and over.
What's up with those modern...
That was an interesting point. I've never like thought of it like that, but like she's just talking about how like Pearl's is basically appealing to like young incels, what's like that can't get women and like they've been effectively a failure in their life. What's interesting about it though is that she's appealing to them in a way like through like an incredible weakness, where it's like, if you can't get a woman, it's not your fault. You don't need to improve. It's their fault. They're pieces of shit. They need to change their standards. Rather than being like, if you're having trouble with women, you need to become you need to be better, right? Which is going to be true. Like if you're having trouble with something, you need to be better at it. I think in general, young people are immature. So of course you're going to have an issue with some like young women, just like you'll have an issue with young men, because they can be very immature. But like, it's interesting the way that they talk about it. You know, it's like it's funny because the group of people who pretends that they're like, oh, you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, literally advocates for men being victims of like literally everything all the time. It's kind of like pathetic. It's just a victim complex.
Women, am I right, boys? Pearl even talks about this business plan in an interview with Yahoo News, saying that she didn't know what her business would be yet, but basically that she wanted to be an influencer and build a brand.
Damn.
The plan? Make money off of single men on YouTube by regurgitating their talking points about women back to them as a woman.
Oh, yeah, what's interesting though is like, because I remember again, like I talked to her a little bit when I was like big on TikTok. Like back then she didn't know what the fuck she wanted to do. I think she like this makes sense to me, like filling in the gaps though, that she just wanted to be popular, and the manosphere was like somewhat recent, and she probably saw that and went, oh, I can capitalize off this.
I feel like when men love women, it's like women have more conditions for them to be like really in love.
For a man to love a woman, she does not have to jump through as many hoops and meet as many requirements as for a woman needs to love a man.
Just like Fresh and Fit, Pearl spouts a lot of the same double standards that promote sociopathy, especially in teaching men to have destructive...
Refers to a pattern of antisocial behaviors and attitudes, including manipulation. What is so interesting? deceit, aggression, and lack of empathy for others. Sociopathy.
Behaviors.
Most men always get looked upon like they're not a hoe. Why is it different for women than it is for men?
It's easy for us to get sex, and men getting sex is hard. So if they do what's hard, it's valued. If we do what's easy, it's not.
What does that matter? Like, yeah, it's easier for women to have sex than men for sure. Like, women control like the sexual market, you could say, but men have a greater control over like the relationship market. At least I think so. You know what I mean? Like, if you're, you know, a girl can get sex easy, but that doesn't mean that they can get a relationship as easily. Like, if they're, I don't know. I feel like for guys, at least for me, it's been easier to get like a relationship than it's been to get like casual sex. Either way, like, what a weird. Just because you have sex with somebody doesn't mean that they respect you. You know, there's a lot of times you might be a bit of a fuckboy just trying to get it in. I just feel like it's not that easy, but.
I am so enlightened by Pearl teaching us
my
how
height?
being a
6'4".
man will magically eliminate all of the consequences of cheating. You know, like breaking your trust with your partner by lying to them, getting another woman pregnant that you now have to support, humiliating your wife, causing family dysfunction, and bringing home disease.
If a man cheats, it's like a handshake.
That is one hell of a handshake, Pearl. And promoting promiscuity is a great way to help create the single moms that her podcast actively speaks out against.
Their amazing strategy is they don't want to pass on resources to another man's kid. Like that's why they're repulsed by hoes. That's why they're repulsed by like other people's children.
Is single mother?
I really don't like this mentality though, because I think it needs to change. And it's this mentality that men shouldn't take care of other men's kids. First of all, nobody should have to take care of anybody else's kids, fundamentally speaking. However, we don't live in a perfect society. And realistically speaking, women are exponentially more likely to take care of another woman's kids than a man. Okay. And I understand from a man, you know, you have a little bit of a different drive, but I want you to think about something, right? People constantly talk about, Pearl does this too, but she doesn't read statistics. She just like looks at something really like shallow in a shallow capacity because she's not very intelligent. But there's a statistic going around that says that men, kids raised by men have better outcomes, or a single father instead of a single mother. And that's what I mean. I guess that's why men should be able to get custody of the kid over the woman. Well, first of all, women obviously have a higher likeliness of actually wanting to be there for their kid, but in this, like, you know, when it's in that dynamic. But more than that, a reason why is because men make more money, but also it's because the parent, that single father, is 3.5 times more likely to have a woman in the household helping him take care of his kid. Because single just means they're separated, based on the statistic, from the mother of the child. And so it's just interesting that women are so much more likely to take care of another woman's kid, but men aren't willing to do the same. And I'm not saying go around and like actively look for a single mom. But what I'm saying is like it shouldn't discount her just because she's a single mom. Like there's nothing wrong with it. And for me, like in my family, I talk about this. I have a Jaji, right? That's a grandfather in Polish, but I'm also not Polish. And what it was that when I was younger, like I have like an uncle, you know, rest in peace, he passed. And my uncle had like obviously married another woman, and that family they married into effectively adopted me. And like I became like they became my family without a question, right? And there's like something that's very healing for somebody, you know, because if one of your parents doesn't want you, that hurts. Like it just hurts. There's nothing too complicated about it. But there's something when like someone else actively wants you that doesn't need to have you. You know what I mean? And that could be very healing for a child. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with raising another, and we say another man's kid, but is it really their kid? Because it's not once they give that person up. And so there's nothing wrong with like being there. There's nothing wrong. Like you shouldn't exclude that person because you could have a profoundly positive impact. It's not just about passing on your genetics. It's about passing on like yourself and your teachings, you know? So you just shouldn't write a person off just because they're a single parent, regardless of whether they're a man or a woman. I think that's like a little ignorant. You know, you shouldn't also jump into the relationship like head first, ready to raise somebody else's kid, because that could fuck the kid up. You want to be careful about that because you don't want that kid to have like different people in and out of their lives constantly. But like, don't give up just because like, oh, they have a kid. Okay. You know what I mean? Just because they have a kid doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Like something could have just happened in their life. Maybe the husband passed away, or maybe it just didn't work out. Maybe they were like young. You know, it's, you know, you can date somebody and get to know them. And if they turn out to be a shitty person, just don't date them anymore. You know, you don't even have to meet the kid first. You might want to like wait a while before you even meet the kid. You know, but I think there's a weakness in there's nothing wrong with not wanting to date a single mother or father, but I think that there's a weakness in telling other people that they shouldn't, or that there's less value in those people. There's an incredible weakness in that. There's a difference between personal preference and like this weird societal advocation against like, oh, don't date single moms, they're worthless. Why? Why are they worthless? What makes them worthless? You know, I think it's pathetic, and I think it's weak to actively advocate against other people dating them, even if you don't want to, because there's nothing wrong with you not wanting to. But
motherhood should be avoided, then perhaps Pearl should consider not contributing to the problem by promoting promiscuity to her male audience.
True.
If you're smart like Fresh and Fit or Pearl, you can just reframe promoting sociopathy to men as advocating for them, even if the only thing it does is promote dysfunction and make more men lonely by fear-mongering them about relationships.
I feel like a lot of men have a good reason for avoiding marriage today.
I love it.
And a woman can seize your assets, even if you're just living together. It varies from state to state. I know the chat. But it's like if she leaves her stuff at your apartment for like a period of 3 months, she can literally seize your assets.
We are just warning you.
I feel like that's not true. There's no way that she could seize your assets just because she basically moves into your house. There might be something... that doesn't even make sense to me. What does that mean? Like, they might be talking about so okay, it sounds like they might be just speaking about fundamentally what is it called, just laws about like moving in with somebody, where like if you're inside of somebody's house for a period of time, you're considered like a renter in some capacity or something, so you can't instantly kick them out. That's not like a woman versus a man thing. That's just like that's some kind of like you know, safety thing implemented so people can't get kicked out of their house and some people can abuse it, but that's not a woman versus a man thing. What a weird thing to say though. What the fuck?
I love it.
And a woman can seize your assets, even if you're just living together. It varies from state to state. I know the chat. But it's like if she leaves her stuff at your apartment for like a period of 3 months, she can literally seize your assets.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What I would say that if you're a successful person, whether you're a man or a woman, like you should be like when you get married, if you get married to somebody, like yeah, get a prenup, but most people are just building with another person. So like you guys are building together, so you don't really need to worry about some shit like that too much. But
we are just warning you of what female nature is.
You're probably wondering by now, where is Pearl's ring? Well, I'm here to inform you that Pearl is single and unmarried at 26 years old.
Wow.
The reason I decided to go to therapy is because in the next like 5 to 7 years, ideally, you know, some things are out of your control, but ideally I'd like to be married.
Which, according to her, is because she is too picky.
You're single over a certain age, you're probably too picky.
And I say that it's because she's too picky because she claims that 28 years old is pretty old to be getting married.
What do men value? Third thing men value, youth. How are they getting youth when the average age of first marriage for women in the US is 28.6 years old?
Pearl is lucky.
Well, wait, hold on. That just fucking shit my pants.
Is pretty old to be getting married.
What do men value? Third thing men value, youth. How are they getting youth when the average age of first marriage for women in the US is 28.6 years old?
Wait, hold on. So this is funny to me because she's saying that men value youth, and then she's saying, well, how are they getting, what the fuck did I go? How are they getting that youth if they are getting married at the age of 28 on average? Well, if I was somebody, I would say, well, maybe it's because men don't value youth to the same degree that you're saying that they do. But instead, somehow, despite the fact that that statistic would to some degree counter what you have to say, you're still doubling down on it as if it's true. If people aren't getting married until 28 or women aren't getting married until 28, then maybe men don't have this hyperfixation on youth in this way that you keep saying that they do. Now, men tend to like younger women, but that doesn't mean that they necessarily want youth, right? Like my wife is 5 years younger than me, but that doesn't mean that I want like a child. You know, it doesn't mean I'm looking for like an 18, 20-year-old. And I understand that they're legal, but like I wouldn't want to date an 18-year-old because it's just fucking immature. So it's funny that like you heard that statistic and you didn't go, maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? It's just a little silly.
Pearl is lucky if she can get married by 28 years old because she's 26, and even if she met Mr. Right today, you would still usually have to be engaged for at least a year, and then usually people, if they're going fast, wait another year before getting married, putting her at 28 years old if they're going fast by today's standards. And Pearl doesn't have much long-term experience in dating either. According to this interview on Yahoo News and what Pearl says online about her dating experiences on various podcasts, she's only had a couple of boyfriends. If you can do the math of her being 23 in the Yahoo interview.
I wonder why she's not married though. I wonder, it's one of two things. Either one, it's because the guys who she panders to don't actually find her attractive, Or two, it's that like she doesn't want to date those guys because they're really disrespectful. And I almost guarantee you it's because the men that she's like she's grifting towards don't respect her, so she doesn't want to date them. I guarantee that's what it is.
They couldn't have been that long considering she just turned 26 in the past couple of months. And that got me interested in knowing who is Pearl picking, considering that anytime a guy does something wrong, no matter what it is, she tells women to simply just pick better.
Okay, so then you pick guys that cheat.
I discovered that last year Pearl tweeted about a breakup she had, so I decided to go ahead and check the archives. And it turns out that Pearl actually got catfished by an obese man with 2 children on TikTok.
Damn.
Baby, when did we start dating?
Was that me? Just kidding.
Yep, that's right. An obese man with 2 children on TikTok.
What?
And I point out that he's obese because...
Wait, how did she get catfished, though? I'm not understanding what's happening here. I'm confused at this point. Wait, what's... Oh, wait, she got catfished by an obese man with 2 kids. What does that mean?
Pearl is constantly dunking on fat girls.
Why do I need to look at your rolls? And then I have to go on social media. Then boom, whale. Boom, another whale.
The cherry on
Another
top
whale,
is that Pearl
baby.
has been pretty adamant about men having children being a deal breaker for her.
For me personally, I'm not into the guys with kids. It's not my thing.
Instead of immediately breaking up with him for hiding 2 whole children from her, she instead takes him in.
Wait, what? That really happened? Is that why they got the they stopped dating? Holy fuck. This man drops a bomb on me. He has 2 children. Why didn't he tell me this is day? How did you find this? What the fuck? Now I'd break up with him in the spot. In hindsight, I absolutely should have. But here's the issue. I did like him and I wanted time to make sure that was a deal breaker. Plus, he's watching my dog while I was on. What the fuck? Dude, I didn't know that Wanya fucking... I guess she did cat. Damn. Wanya's a fucking asshole, huh? I mean, I'm not surprised that some TikToker that just makes angry faces doesn't exactly have too much going on for himself. Since, you know, you can get famous on TikTok for the bare minimum. But that's interesting. What the fuck?
Immediately breaking up with him for hiding 2 whole children from her. She instead takes him in to live with her and her family to mooch off of them.
Because he was homeless when I first met him. So I like moved him into my parents' house so he could get an ID.
Too.
Yeah, and so my
Show
parents
proof of
put
it.
him like on our lease.
Aw.
So that was how like, and they like
Wow.
moved him in for like he lived with us for like a month.
Meanwhile, Pearl is out
Jesus.
here humble bragging about her bagging a rich one on podcasts.
Well, now I can see why Wanya doesn't want to talk about it, because he's a fucking scum piece of shit, if this is true. But I mean, like, it's kind of shitty of you to not tell somebody that you have a kid and then move in with them and have them support you. Like, that's pretty, like, kind of loser shit. But, you know, what do I know? Am I right? Maybe I'm just like the fucking idiot. Damn. I kind of feel bad for this girl now. But Jesus Christ.
He was a millionaire. Like, it was just like he didn't know what to do with it.
How did you nab a millionaire?
He was on social media and I saw he lived like kind of close to me. And so I made like videos saying like, oh, we should like hang out. Like, have you never seen those videos of
He's
girls
a
like shooting their
millionaire?
shots at guys?
No.
Publicly? I was on TikToks and I did
Wait, she said that he was a million. Oh, what the fuck? He probably had he has a lot of views, but that doesn't make you a millionaire on TikTok. You barely get paid for that shit. Damn. So she bragged about him being a millionaire when that's not true. Jesus, what a fucking... We're getting the tea. We're getting the tea, sister. I'm all over this shit, boy.
video saying, you know, when he's not doing this like comedic bit, he's actually kind of fine. Like, I live in Chicago, you live in Chicago, we should like hang out.
I am pretty confident that Pearl is referring to her ex Wanya in these instances because Wanya is from Chicago, like the millionaire ex she talks about in the video. There are multiple articles saying that Wanya was homeless when he was around 22 years old. There's a small chance that I'm wrong, but it seems that the story does match up. I do find it funny that Pearl dating Wanya, or people know him as Angry Reactions, was framed as her bagging a rich one. Meanwhile, he actually moved on to date a more attractive redhead, and she's still single and unmarried. It seems like her advice on lowering her standards to get married isn't working out so well for her. Pearl has the absolute...
Although, like, if all this is true, what it sounds like happened to me is Pearl potentially took this guy in and, like, really helped him a lot. And then he got better for himself and then like decided to leave her after she did so much for him. Because that's what it kind of sounds like happened, no? They got together. He was homeless. They moved in together. And then he left her. That's kind of shitty of him to do. But like we can't there's like not any... I mean, if that's true, there's no real sympathy left for him, for her, because she's a real piece of shit. But wow, that's interesting.
audacity to tell women to pick better when she literally got catfished by some girl's obese baby daddy on TikTok. Yeah, he has a lot of followers, but he ended up having to mooch off of her anyway, so. Not only does she regularly dunk on obese people, even taunting them in her TikTok bio before she got banned, but Pearl will even put all the blame on women for obesity in America, despite half the obese population in America being men. How can Pearl dunk on fat girls so often?
Yeah, let's see. Let's check out these videos. I don't know if he has sponsors or something. This is from 312. He hasn't even posted in like a month. But 9 million views, that's like $270, I think. It's like $30, maybe 20 to $30 a million views. Isn't that crazy? It's fucking horrible.
And considering that she has clearly neglected her own self-care. This video of her is only from 1 month ago, and it might surprise you to learn that she's a professional athlete. And despite her lack of self-care, she still likes to spout a lot of statistics about fat women.
Listen, bro, I don't want to be fucking rude, but I just wouldn't be body shaming people if I looked like that. That's why I don't usually body shame people. I'm not trying to be mean at all, but like, this is the energy you're asking for when you're constantly calling fat women whales. You're not saying like, oh, I don't find fat people attractive. That's fine. But calling fat women whales, saying that they're worthless, playing this like disingenuous fucking game. It's like, oh, nobody deserves anything. It's like, no, you're saying fat women don't deserve love and you think less of them because you're just trying to fucking pander to like piece of shit men. But you look like that. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, what happened to the golden rule? You know, treat others the way you want to be treated. Because you're just asking for people like, bro. Like, it's not even that whether she's thin or not. It's just like, first of all, like, I don't think that she's unattractive. Okay? I'm a good man. But like the way that you talk about women, by your standards, you're unattractive. Like, it's not even like whether you're thin or you're skinny or fat. It's like there's nothing going on there. Like there's no form there. You know, it's I'm not trying to, there's no figure. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is the way that you talk about people. And then like, you know, but people could like slap back and be like, wow. You know, it's like there's no, I feel bad for her. She's locked herself into like this really toxic ideology that's never going to value her in any real capacity. It's just sad, dude. Oh my God.
Despite being corrected on this by Destiny on her live stream.
There's a lot of fat people. Fat people stay with fat people.
But women by and large are fatter than men. No. Women, and if you go in the U.S., the woman's always fatter. BMI.
So in the U.S., the average BMI for a man is 26.6, and the average BMI for a woman is 26.5.
Oh, I stand corrected.
But
yeah, constantly. You know what's interesting? I was on Destiny stream a long time ago, and one of the guys there was like a health guy, and he said something to the effect that like women who have a little more weight on them are a little bit healthier than men who do because of the way that the fat stores. Very interesting, which makes sense because women need that extra weight to birth kids or whatever. But I will say that like in like the hick states in the United States, it's one of two things. Like in normal states, the fat men and women will usually date each other. You know, my wife and I are big. But in like hick states, it's either a fat guy with a skinny girl or a skinny guy with a fat girl. It's so interesting. I don't understand it. It's like a bizarre phenomenon. So weird.
Even after he corrected her, she continued to misrepresent the statistic.
How can we say that as a whole, in the US and the West, we're good wives, when 80% of us are overweight, and that's the number one thing that men value? There's a lot of room for improvement.
Number one, what? That men value women? What is? I just don't understand what that means. I thought that she said that age was the number one things that men's value. Like, she's so inconsistent. You said like, oh, youth is the number one thing men value. Oh, weight is. Not really. Like, of course, everybody wants somebody that's on their level, you know. But if you're fat, you want a fat person usually. You know, you can share in that insecurity. Like my wife and I are trying to get healthier together, so it's like easier for us to love. Like it's easier for us to like love each other and like connect with each other because like us going through our weight loss journey, it's not just about being fat. It's like, you know, we have bad eating habits because like we cope incorrectly. Like we use food as like a cope, which is a really bad habit that we have to overcome. But like it's not the number one thing. Like overweight men aren't going to have a problem with overweight women. Like it's so silly. The fuck?
Western women. 70% of us are overweight. The average man makes more than the average woman.
I have no idea
what the average woman is fatter than the average man.
So in the U.S., the average BMI for a man is 26.6, and the average BMI for a woman is 26.5.
Oh, I stand corrected.
Hi everyone, this is me in the middle of editing. Pearl got banned off of TikTok, so I've had to go into the Internet Archive to pull up the timeline for you guys because I can't prove it on the live site. But you can see she's wearing the same top that she talks about the false obesity statistic. And you can see the date here is 3/14. Destiny corrected her much before that, so just wanted to show proof of that. When I was doing research, I also happened to have made a note about the timeline because I had a feeling that she was regurgitating the statistic even after she was corrected, and it turned out I was correct, so just wanted to post the proof in here. Pearl speaks on men valuing attractiveness, purity, and youth, and says in order to get a high-value husband, or husband at all, you should be those things.
Men value purity and youth.
Yeah.
Purity, youth, beauty.
Pearl fails to meet these standards herself despite wanting to get married so badly.
Apparently, if I want results in life, I have to start talking to boys. Yeah, wife me up if you're in the London area. You know?
In terms of purity, Pearl's
fucking desperate.
Not a virgin. In fact, she's so reluctant to say her body count that she's willing to just lie.
How many people have you slept with? Do you have this out?
No.
You ask everybody that. And you don't say your own number?
What? No, I don't ask everyone. I don't think I've ever asked. No, I don't even ask body count. Would you say your body count?
I don't know.
No. No, I don't even ask. I always say how many bodies is too many bodies. So I have a question. Would you guys say your body count?
No.
So if it doesn't matter, like, why don't people just say it?
She chose to lie because she felt embarrassed. And
well, people usually say it doesn't matter because they want it to not matter, right? That's usually like the whole goal there, just so you know. It does matter to people. Like, I wouldn't want to date somebody with a high body count because it's yucky. Right? But men or women, you know, if I was into dudes, I wouldn't want to date a guy with a high body count either. Who does, you know?
Despite Pearl preaching about the importance of women's chastity, Pearl actually wanted to partake in hookup culture.
But I swear to God, like, guys don't try to sleep with me.
Really?
like, I swear to God, I've been on a date and I would have been down, and you just never tried. I was like, oh, okay. And I swear to God, I didn't even touch me once.
Yeah.
He didn't touch me once, and I'm like, yeah. I don't really have guys.
Wow, that's sad. She talked about how easy it is for women to get puss or to get dick, and she can't even get fucking any dick. Damn.
Approach me often.
It could be the clothes.
It seems like she barely knew him and wanted to hook up with him, but he didn't want to. So, according to Pearl, I guess we shouldn't be taking her advice, considering that she can't attract men even for casual encounters.
Damn.
I've noticed a lot of therapists are like older single women, and I'm kind of like, if you can't maintain a relationship, why would I take advice from you?
Is that even true? Therapists are older. What? There's no even, bro. Okay. That doesn't even make sense to me. Is there, oh my God. Well, how do I even look up a statistic? There's no way she's operating with a statistic there. I guarantee you that she goes to therapy like she said she does, and that most of the women that she goes to therapy with are older single women. And she's like, I've noticed that these women are all older single, single, blah, 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 blah. You know what's interesting though is that like a good therapist is going to be able to connect with you in some capacity. So if she's going and seeing a lot of therapists that are older single women, it's because she's going to be an older single woman. Because that's the therapist that resonates with her more. Because if you're going to have a better time with a therapist, it's more like in your similar headspace because they'll be able to understand you better. So, because like I went to therapy for a very long time. A lot of it, you know, I have ADHD and like I was a behavioral child, you know, so that's been like a lifelong thing. And like I used to go to like therapists that were obviously men, and they were like one of them we would just play chess a lot, and like I love chess, you know what I mean? So like you have things that you resonate with particular people. So I guarantee you that this is really just because of her, you know, like she's just like, that's the way that she is.
This is just something I've noticed. But I haven't spent a ton of time in therapy, but then I'm like, yeah, like why would I take advice from you if you can't maintain a relationship?
And she thinks what's holding her back is the fact that she's like 6 feet tall.
I would say if there's one thing that's held me back in dating, it is the height.
But I think it's because of her desperation, and they can sense it along with her low standards.
And you know, if a guy has all the
yeah, well, listen, I'll say something. Is like I will say, you know, a couple things. One, I messed around with like a really tall girl before. She was like 6'2", and it's different. It's a different experience, you know. So it's something else. That being said, I will tell you, because like it's so weird that like a lot of tall guys will want to date like really short women. I've dated like girls that are like 5 foot tall, and as you get older, you have to realize that you should want to date tall women. You should want to create another generation of Vikings. You know, I don't want some short fucking, oh, let me have some like fucking like short little like Kaiway girl. No. What kind of kids am I gonna have? All right. I had a friend back in the day, and his dad was like really big like me, and his mom was short as fuck. And guess what? All their kids, manlets. Okay? So, guys, you should be going after these tall girls. That was I can't even laugh. I'm just making like a joke. But like, yeah, height for a woman can definitely hold them back, but you should be able to get over that issue. And the reason that you can't is probably because you're a fucking asshole. So
like all the things that you look for, he might cheat. Yeah. So how can I be that mad if he cheats when it's like I picked him?
What?
Would you accept if he's just stepping up but not getting anyone pregnant?
Are we married?
No, you're in a relationship.
I think if I'm being truly honest with myself, for the right guy, I probably would.
How many times?
I don't know how many times.
She's basically announcing
What
to
does
the
that
world,
mean?
hey, I'm Pearl. I'll tolerate cheating. Please marry me.
That's
So
a sad
imagine the
life,
kind of
yeah.
men she's attracting. And it seems like her dating life in general just has not gone well.
He was older than me.
Oh, okay.
So he had girlfriends before me. 2 weeks after like we ended it, he starts dating a new girl.
I don't wanna
Like I think
get
he's
this.
gonna marry that girl or did. I don't really know. Yeah, I was like obsessed. I was so sad because I felt like I waited because I was a sophomore in college when I lost my virginity. So I was like halfway through college. It was late.
You know it's not about you. It's I'm gonna drop something. It's at the timing.
Well, no. It was because he literally like went on to marry the next girl. So something. But it's funny because the girl was older than me. So by the Manosphere's perspective, like I would have won.
Pearl even acknowledges that things don't work out as they do on paper, but she continues to influence people to do immoral, pathological behaviors in order to demonize women for clicks and views. In Pearl's world, if the wife puts the husband in question in a bad position and takes his kid away, then it's her fault.
It only takes one time to ruin a guy's life where she can literally take half and take the kids. Like, how is he supposed to protect the children when legally she can take them and she's paid to take them away from him?
But that same empathy is nowhere to be found if the wife is put in a bad position by the husband.
Okay, so then you pick guys that cheat.
It says something about your decision making if you become a single mother.
If the woman leaves,
It's really interesting too, because I think that one of the most basic things, I think that even Destiny said this, is that nobody wants to get divorced. And so her entire thing hinges on like women just like, oh, they could just pick up and run, and like nobody wants to get divorced. You know, there's a series of different conditions that happen. It depends on the relationship. It could be more the guy, it could be more the girl, it could be 1,000 different things. But like the way that she talks about this is so disconnected from reality. Like nobody's trying to get like divorced or anything. It's just silly. She's just a silly goose, guys. She's just a big, silly, stinky goose. You know? Crazy.
It's because she's just trying to take the man's money because she's an unreasonable, home-wrecking gold digger.
She can take them and she's paid to take them away from him.
But if a woman decides to make her own money, well, now she's emasculating her husband and causing the divorce.
Or one of the number one reasons for divorce is financial, and also when women out-earn men.
The irony of Pearl dehumanizing women on her
Financial? Well, just because one of the number one reasons for divorce is financial doesn't mean it's because one makes more than the other. Number two, I don't think there does seem to be problems from what I remember looking into when it comes to like a man making less money than a woman. But it's interesting because I think that the woman is more likely to divorce a guy if he makes less money, than her. But if you also look at the statistic, men are 3 times more likely to cheat if they make less money than their partner or something like that. And so then it begs the question, like, well, who's the reason that the cheating, like, who's the reason that the divorce is happening? Just because a woman initiates doesn't necessarily mean it's the man's fault, you know, or that doesn't mean that it's the woman's fault. I'm not saying that every single time it's like always like women are fucking majestic angels. Like women can be just as shit as men. I'm just saying the way that she looks at it is that as if men are always the victims, and there's never like any level of nuance there. That's the interesting part.
Channel is that her entire channel's premise is to focus on the injustices against men and how women aren't empathetic enough to them. And Pearl doesn't like when this happens to her. For example, Pearl went on a podcast and told her story about how her male role model in her life, her coach who worked one-on-one with her since she was 14, turned out to be a groomer.
Because I remember saying that you can tell me stuff you don't tell your parents.
Well, wouldn't that be her fault then? Since she's the woman, she should have picked a better person, or her mother. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say, but considering she takes all the agency away from, well, I guess she'd be a kid in this instance, but it's obviously not her fault regardless. I'm just like, I wonder how she, yeah, she probably just says because she's a fucking kid, obviously. Yeah, that was just like a little weird take for me. My point is like, does she blame him? Because it is his fault, but with her like anti-woman rhetoric, like how does she align this perspective with that?
I remember looking at him like a dad, like for a while, because I saw him so much. He told me before I went to college, like that I was going to get a bunch of attention from boys because of my butt.
And as soon as she turned 18,
weird.
he tried to sleep with her and shove alcohol down her throat.
Jesus.
Which, by the way, for those of you that don't know, the legal drinking age in America is 21.
And he's like, oh, come take a shot at the gym with me. So I think I was 18 or 19 when this happened. And at first I was like, oh, no, I'm not trying to drink tonight because it was like my finals week. That's why I was home. But he kept like going at it. Then he goes, you know, like, Hannah, because my first name's Hannah, the gym's empty right now. We could do anything you want. I'm like, what do you mean, Marcus? He texted me. So he said, come back to the gym tonight. And I said, for what? And then he said, like, nothing, just sex. The issue I had was he was waiting till girls turned 18 to try to hook up with him. A couple years later, I find out he is going to be a coach at my high school on the track team, and my sister's going to run track. I was like, oh, hell no. But I didn't get him fired until years later because my mom told me not to.
And then in the interview, she goes on to talk.
Your mom is a real bitch. Why would she say not to if he fucking tried to groom you? It sounds like that's really weird. That whole situation is like fucked. Why would your mom say not to? That's fucking bizarre as shit. But okay.
About how the Manosphere blamed her for this, even though her coach was double her age.
Like, I can tell they're from the Manosphere comment because I've told this story on like a TikTok before, and it's weird. They blame you. Like, they put the 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah, I can.
Like, why'd you put yourself in that situation? Or you like?
Yeah. Well, you pander to those people, so you deserve getting blamed for that. Like, what happened to you is horrible. But like, based on the fact that like that's your people now, like you decided those are your people, and we're talking about a group of people that think that like that like are 30 something years old that constantly go after like 18-year-old girls who just turned fucking like legal age, and still get them into bars and clubs, get them drunk. They don't drink themselves, and like that's who you decided to pander to. So like, how much empathy can we really have? Which I know is fucked up, but like it's like, dude. You know, these are like the people that you're fucking, like, you think that these are the good men. These are pieces of shit scumbags that are basically like, that they're fucking losers. That are advocating for like submissiveness, which is pathetic. And again, there's a difference between wanting somebody submissive versus wanting somebody who like listens to you. Submissive is somebody who won't stick up for themselves and will just do whatever you want and let you roll over them. Right? Somebody who's just like more passive is different. And like, you shouldn't be like, but this is the group of people that you advocate for. So like, how much sympathy or empathy do you want from us? Like, who, like, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy.
Likes the attention.
This
is before Manosphere days. Well, then that makes it even worse because then this fucking idiot decided that like before her Manosphere days, she did this. That means that she was like, why? Why would you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you knew how fucking horrible these dog shit people were, and like, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna fucking play this game.
First-hand experience in the consequences of demonizing the other gender, and considering she went through something so terrible, you would think she would be empathetic, but instead she's so profit-driven that if somebody else told her the same story, she would side with the predator. She seems to give no nuance and no defense of women, no matter what the situation is, even if what happened when they were children.
I'm pretty sure social media is like some of the most damaging stuff for young girls in middle school and high school because of how much like information they're bombarded with in terms of beauty standards and how they look.
Yeah,
but
probably.
You guys are like, well, but Instagram helps them get flown out to Dubai, so I think like
it does.
You know, it's like you're totally disconnected from like the real world.
I mean, it also lets you catfish the hell out of men, like with these freaking Instagram filters.
It's based on the media.
Didn't she get catfished by a man though? So by her logic, it gets I fucked up. By her logic, it helps men to have the same access there.
Yeah, that they consume and the images around them. Like, that's just absolutely true.
Freaking who?
Like, what happened to the accountability? She's holding the kids more accountable than she's holding the men for not checking if it's a real person or not. Maybe it's because she's biased and she got catfished. I don't know. So yeah, clearly Pearl has no issues holding even...
What is it called? Is it called like survivor's bias, where she like justifies like shitty things that happen to other people because it happened to her, and she's like, it wasn't that bad. Is that what it's called?
Little girls accountable over men. And when it comes to women, Pearl will say things like, you shouldn't talk about the exceptions, only talk about the rule.
You know, some people might get married and the husband dies and they become single mother. You know,
but we're not talking about exceptions, we're talking about the rule. Are the majority of single mothers widows? No.
But that changes at Pearl's convenience. You can't talk about nuances unless it demonizes women.
You've never heard of cases where women don't let the dad see the kid?
Earlier, you said we were going to talk about exceptions. You want to talk about the rules. So don't give me the hide and go seek with the kid. How often do you think a mom is hiding the kid from the husband? Give me a percentage.
I don't know.
Before on her channel, she actually used to be more nuanced and actually criticized the Manosphere for not acknowledging exceptions.
You know, I know that one girl that makes more money than her husband, or whatever the exception is to the rule. And we see it, I think, more often than the Manosphere really gives credit to. I think in general, men don't want to date single mothers. But I know a lot of single mothers that got remarried.
She was even willing...
What a weird person. It seems like Pearl always kind of existed or wanted to, for whatever reason, wanted to exist in the Manosphere. And then she found out that like saying... And then she just found out which way is going to make her make more money. But it's so interesting because if you think about it, Pearl is wholly unintelligent. For somebody who grew up rich and had every opportunity, she's one of the dumbest fucking people that I've ever seen before. And I think it's genuine unintelligence. I don't think that like she's just playing a game. I think she is actually a dumb fucking person that doesn't engage with anything. And she's just like a really dumb person. And so like it's easier for her to just say like whatever dumb bullshit, parrot whatever dumb bullshit's going on for money. I think it really is like money driven. Like she's a loser. And she doesn't believe anything that she says. It's sad. I wonder, like, does she have any genuine relationships with people? Or is her entire life just like this big grift? Heal me, bitch, you motherfucker.
To have her virgin friends come on the show to explain their perspective and why they wouldn't sleep with someone with a high body count like the host of Fresh and Fit.
I'm probably going to have a couple friends that I waited till they were married to have on my podcast to actually talk about what they look for in guys.
Then only a month later, she starts regurgitating Manosphere talking points.
If you get married and it doesn't work out, like women can and will take all of your money.
Pearl doesn't like when you go, but men, in response to her.
And whenever we talk about where
I mean, like they won't. It's like a 50-50 split. Everybody's going to take some kind of a hit. Like if the woman's the primary financial earner, the man's going to be able to walk away with like 50% of that too. It's just that since men are the ones that work, like tend to work in like in a household scenario, they tend to make more money. They tend to work more, or they make more money, or they work more while the other person stays home and takes care of the kids. The woman, like you'd seen as unfair in some capacity. But if you have kids, especially like. I mean, listen, man, if you're together for like 20 years and you decide to have a relationship dynamic where one person works and the other person like stays home, you've told that other person to put their life on hold, right? Like if the girl or the guy, doesn't matter who it is, decides that like for 20 years they're going to stay home, be a stay-at-home parent or as a stay-at-home husband or wife, like they could have been doing other things to build themselves up at that 20 years and they didn't. They put their life on hold for you. So like, yeah, you should have to pay some kind of like level of alimony. That's life, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Regardless of whether it's a woman or a man, like, it doesn't matter. This guy's destroying everything. I don't even need to like do anything.
the women need to improve. We always need to point the finger at the men.
But the reason people go, but what about men, is because she doesn't seem to address the other half of the equation. Women haven't single-handedly made men cheat, cause obesity, or cause divorce, but Pearl will take it and spin in a way to where women are the blame and men don't take any accountability for it. For example, 80% of women initiate divorce is something she will say in order to blame women.
I think it's like 70%.
But women initiating divorce doesn't necessarily mean that they were in the wrong. If it were the other way around, I just know that Pearl would spin it at
no, like it's one of those things where like relationships end. I think it's 70% of women, or relationships or divorces are initiated by women 70% of the time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that women are the ones that are engaging in the divorce, or that they're the first one that wants to like break it off, or that they're the fault of it. Like for instance, there's plenty of situations where like a woman, like we already know, men tend to make more money than women. So men don't have as much of a motivation to break off the relationship or to start a legal separation process, because they don't need, like, they make the money and like they have more financial freedom, which gives them more just general freedom. So a woman will be like, okay, I have to engage in a divorce or some kind of a separation so I can get access to, you know, the ability to leave and get like money from my husband, and they deserve it. Like, oh, my husband's cheating on me, I need to get a legal separation so that I can have the money to go and like live in an apartment away from him. But you have to get separated first to be able to start like engaging in that process, right? So I'm not saying that it's always the man. I'm just saying that like just because it says 70% women engaged doesn't mean it's the woman's fault. It could be like either one of them. I'm sure there's instances where men initiate divorce and it's like the woman's fault too, you know?
As men are leaving modern women because they're low value. I mean, she already does this with passport bros.
Are Western women typically known as good wives? Are they sought
Sure.
after all over the world? Or are men getting their passports and going elsewhere?
It's not.
Obviously, they're not, because we have plenty of people in America. It's funny that we talk about how America is the greatest country in the world until until all of a sudden when it comes to women. Because like, what, you want a submissive woman who won't fight back against you? Like, weird shit.
100% of the woman's fault, and if you don't address even the 10% of the time where it's the man's fault, then you're not really solving anything. She's radicalizing people because she's making them mad about problems while giving them no solutions, and it's not really helping anyone. And as she makes things worse, she just gets to sit there and collect money off of people's negative emotions. Pearl asserts that her focus on addressing women exclusively is due to the fact that they're never held accountable. Because she's holding women solely responsible for every issue, she's just perpetuating the issue that she claims to be trying to solve. If she had a more balanced consideration of everyone, then perhaps she would actually get something solved. She does this a lot by misrepresenting statistics in order to poorly portray women. For example, Pearl talks about how 20% of men aren't even the father of their children.
And they say that 20% of men are raising a kid that's not theirs. That's why they don't want a promiscuous woman. They're afraid they're going to pass the resources onto the wrong, onto a kid that's not theirs.
What does that mean?
father of their children.
And they say that 20% of men are raising a kid that's not theirs. That's why they don't want a promiscuous woman. They're afraid they're going to pass the resources on to the wrong.
I'm so confused. So 20% of men raised a kid that's not theirs. So that's why they don't want a promiscuous woman. I'm like a little confused, like what the phrasing of that means.
Onto a kid that's not theirs.
Well, unknowing or knowing?
Not knowing.
So how do they get the statistic? I don't know. It's
DNA test.
Much like the feminists that Pearl
But
criticized.
then they would know. Let's see. There's no way it's that high. Okay. You know what's so funny about her statistics? I just looked it up. So the statistics are actually like really high. It's 32%. 32% of men are raising a kid that's not there, that they're not the biological father of. That's insane when you hear it like that. Then you hear this other fact, and that's actually 32% of men who had a reason to take a paternity test in the first place. So a third of men who are questioning whether they are or not the father aren't the father. So it's not actually 20% of men. She misread the statistic. It's 20% of men, or a percentage of men, who have a reason to think that they aren't the father. Because, like, yeah, how would they know then? Like, how would they know that 20% of men? She's an idiot when it comes to her reading statistics. Okay.
Sizes. I've never seen her cite where she gets her data from, and that's the same thing as lying in the science world because she's making it impossible to even fact check her. I have to just guess what study she's talking about, and I think she's basing it on this 1999 report. It's by the American Association of Blood Banks, and it's over 2 decades old, which is way too old for a study like this to be relevant. And the 20% claim that Pearl made doesn't actually represent the population. It's actually much lower. They were testing men that were already not sure if they were the dad, meaning that the study was biased. In order for it to not be biased, it would have to be randomized or tested at birth. The vast differences in non-paternity rates across different populations is also not taken into account. This is relevant information, especially considering that Pearl's podcast is based in London, even though she's from America. So how are we supposed to know where she's even talking about? Depending on what country you're looking at, the percentages are all different and significantly lower than what Pearl was saying. Another example of Pearl misrepresenting data in order to demonize women is her saying that women primarily divorce men for money.
I want to get married. Of course I want to get married. But like if I was a guy, I would have a really hard time with it. And you could say it's the type of woman, but 50% of marriages end in divorce. Women leave the majority of the time. I don't think it's the type of woman. I think it's that they're paying women to leave. Or one of the number one reasons for divorce is financial, and also when women out-earn men.
But the top reason for divorce on every site that I've checked didn't have that as even the top 4.
Well, from what I've seen, like it's pretty high up there. Like money is a reason people get divorced, but it's not to take money. It's usually because they have like financial stressors.
Reason for divorce on
let's see. Reasons for divorce. Because money is like always up there. 4 of the most common causes of divorce are lack of commitment, infidelity, extramarital affairs, too much conflict and arguing, lack of physical. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Jesus Christ. Divorce.com. I guess that's a pretty good statistic. Because I would imagine that like money is a pretty big motivator, and like stress is like when I didn't have a lot of money, that's when I had a lot more problems. Because you know, you're arguing a lot, especially if you're with somebody who's using a lot of your money. Interesting. But yeah, none of this is represented in the statistic. Communication problems. Yeah. I mean, marriage is hard. It's always hard. You have to make it work.
On every site that I've checked, didn't have that as even the top 4. And while I was researching this, I actually found data citing that women who divorced in the previous 12 months were more likely than recently divorced men to be in poverty, 20% compared to 11% respectively. If I were doing what Pearl does, I could easily utilize that data to say that 80% of women are leaving men because men can't satisfy women. But hey, at least I'm telling you where I got the data from, unlike her. I would have thought someone as rich as her would have the resources to be able to check the statistics she's saying, especially considering she's on her dad's dime.
Number one, I'm sorry I'm not a brokey. My dad yells at me for accounting every month, and I have to like organize like business expenses versus personal. So my dad does yell at me when I pull out cash when you can't see what you spend it on.
Pearl reminds me of Pearl from...
Wait, her entire life is bankrolled by her father? Holy fuck. What a loser. I guess I'm not surprised. Is he proud of her for fucking... I imagine maybe he is, because she's making money. I wonder what their actual, like, value is as people. Like, because, like, my mother would beat me. I don't know. If I was ever part of the Manosphere, my mother would beat me. Like if I was like constantly and religiously talking so negatively about women and blaming women for all the problems in the world, my mother would beat the fuck out of me, and I would deserve it too. Like, what an embarrassing thing to make your entire like your entire thing based off of how just being disrespectful to women, you know. So
SpongeBob asking her dad, Mr. Krabs, for money.
How much is all this costing me? Here's the receipt. I oughta...
Oh, Daddy, you got me everything I wanted.
She also reminds me of Mr. Krabs' daughter because he wants her to be a star and he's paying her way to do so.
Being a little YouTuber is tough. I'm really tired of being broke, Dad. I can't mooch off of you forever.
I mean, if you kind of look at it.
I'm really tired of being broke, Dad. I can't mooch off of you forever.
I mean, they have a similar body shape too, I think. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but they actually look almost like identical. Let me see. I'm going to take a look at it here. They have a very similar structure, I think. You know, and like, listen, I personally have always thought that Pearl from SpongeBob is very attractive, but Pearl also, think about it, didn't go around body shaming people, so you would have no reason to say anything negative, you know. You know what's gonna be funny though? It's gonna be Pearl's gonna end up like marrying like one of the most beta looking men ever. Like, and no, God bless the man, but he's gonna be like a super passive, like emo hair guy, like, or something that's like, oh no problem, honey, no problem, honey. You know what I mean? Let's see. Like, yeah, remember when she was like super in love with this guy? It's gonna be this guy, and he is black. She seems to like black guys too, so some black nerd. That's who Pearl's gonna marry. I looked up Pearl SpongeBob boyfriend. Yeah, they have the same outfit on too. So, you know, let's just be real here.
My little girl is finally a star.
Give me a KRU!
I'm sure that Pearl understands the real-world struggles of the average person from her 10-bedroom mansion.
You guys you want the house tour?
But clearly...
Hey guys, look at my old colonial home. My dad, it used to be a slave house, by the way. I fucking honestly wouldn't doubt it. Probably live in like a fucking slave mansion. Dad probably owned slaves or something. I'm just saying.
There is one thing that money cannot buy, and that thing is taste. This video is from Pearl's channel called Wife School. In the first episode, she and Allie, known as Real Femme Sapien on YouTube, meet up to improve on Pearl's fashion, along with a male stylist who is supposed to be helping Pearl attract a husband by improving her outfits. So let's take a look at some of the outfits he puts her in.
Perfect for a night out on the town.
I'll do the full tour.
This dress looks like a trash bag. It's unflattering on her because it's...
I don't think it's a dress, though. Be real with you. I'm just saying. I think Pearl would look good in like an old Victorian number, you know? Very modest. She would. That's probably why she wants to go back in time, because she only really would look good in very modest wear. That's crazy, bro. Crazy.
Showcasing her stomach, which is not what she should be highlighting. Not only that, but the black is washing her out, making her look very drained, especially considering the fact that she normally doesn't wear makeup. Going without makeup is a personal choice and it's fine, but if you're gonna do that, you need to know your color palette or you will look even more tired and sickly when you wear the wrong colors. I'm gonna go ahead and explain a little bit of color theory to you guys. Color season is a system that utilizes color theory to categorize...
I can't believe this is gonna be gay. Color theory. Who gives a damn? But okay, let's hear it.
Where each person falls under in order to easily find out what colors look good on them. It's based on how their skin's undertones interact with other colors, and that involves how light or dark their skin is relative to the hair and eye color. If you have warm undertones in your skin, you'll look more yellow with green veins in your wrists. And if you're cool tone, you'll look more pinkish or reddish with blue veins on your wrists. If you have a warm undertone, you should wear warm colors. If you have cool undertones, cool tone colors will suit you best. You have to have a trained eye to be able to see it in some cases, but Pearl is cool toned, as you can see with her pink flush in her skin. Pearl is either a light summer because of her cool tone coloration, or she would be a light spring because it's right next to light summer in the color wheel. It's a little hard to tell on the internet, but I know for sure she's on that side of the color wheel. If you look at someone and the first thing you see is their outfit's color instead of their own natural coloration and features, then you're wearing the wrong colors. The stylist doesn't apply this knowledge or even utilize basic color theory, and instead, he takes her to a cheap, fast fashion store like Zara. If he were actually good at his job, he would not be making these mistakes. If money were an issue, which clearly for Pearl it's not, there are better budget-friendly places you could go to for higher quality clothes. For example, go thrifting. But yeah, clearly Pearl doesn't need to go thrifting. He could have just taken her to a higher-end mall or a department store.
I honestly think that he should have just brought her to like a drag show, because then she would fit in with all the drag queens. Because that's what she looks like. I'm sorry. That's too mean, because she's really not that bad looking, but she's just such a rude person that she deserves to be dragged, you know? So, I get it.
Honestly, he just does her dirty the entire time.
That's super cool. That looks really nice.
Where would I go with this outfit?
I think, I think that could be an afternoon. I think that could be an
Probably go to Macy's with that outfit. You know, not a bad one.
evening outfit. I think you could go out in Shoreditch wearing that. You could go to Canary Wharf, to one of the bars down there. Meet some nice high-value guy.
He looks at her with a straight face, telling her she's going to meet a high-value guy in this outfit. Oh, it'll look nice going out for errands and having a nice dinner. He's just talking out of his ass.
So what do we rate this, 1 to 10?
I reckon it's a high 8.
Like, I don't know how a style...
Well, I think that the craziest thing from Pearl is that she's not as insecure as she should be. Like, listen, I look at myself and I go, oh, I'm a handsome guy. But, like, I know where I have my limitations. You know what I mean? And I think that that's how most people are. You know what I mean? Like, you know what cards you've been dealt. Like, I know I'm a tall guy with a decent voice usually. I mean, I'm sick with COVID right now, but, you know, I'm decently intelligent. You know what I mean? I can work hard. I have a solid work ethic. I don't have to work hard because I was able to do this right now. So God bless. You know, I know my value, but I also know that I'm not, like, the most conventionally attractive guy. And I'm okay with that. So I don't, like, I walk around in the world... You know what I mean? In the way that, like, understands that. But Pearl talks so much shit about people. And then she does this. To me, this shows that, like, she really, like, doesn't realize, like, what she looks like. Like, her dad's been gassing her up too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying. It's like, damn. Feels very disconnected from reality. To me, at least.
Stylist can honestly rate these outfits so high.
Alright, now we're talking.
Spin, not too fast. Okay.
He must think
Looks
that
like she's
she's a
gonna
dumpster
shower.
because he keeps putting her in trash bags.
Oh my God.
Because he's done it now like 3 or 4 times in this video. And he's not highlighting any of the flattering parts of her body, which defeats the entire purpose of having a stylist help you. There are several different body shapes, but for Pearl, she holds most of her weight proportionately in her arms and in her stomach. And that should have been taken into consideration when he was dressing her. Regardless if she loses weight, her proportions will stay the same relative to her other body parts.
Yeah.
You can bring balance back to the body by drawing the attention to the most attractive body parts and away from the least attractive ones using color, patterns, texture. But of course, he would know that if he actually knew what the hell he was doing as a stylist. It is honestly just so frustrating watching him not look smacks her. In this outfit, the skirt does not work. Pearl could have put on some jeans with a wider cut at the bottom to balance her upper, heavier half, or she could have put on a skirt that was A-line, high-waisted, and above the knee, but in middle of the thigh, not too short.
This is kind of like, oh, I can't find it. What is this? Yeah, it's like, if you think about it, like, don't think too hard about it, but think about it. Oh, come on, bro. This is kind of like Pearl's, like, body type. Think about it. Like, it's like all shoulders. It's like a hanger upside down with clothes on it still. And that's what's kind of like going on here. You know, it's like a very V-shaped, you know. She looks like a drawing that, like, a 7-year-old's doing, you know. I'm sorry.
Would have done the trick to bring attention to her legs and away from her stomach.
I'm pulling in the back because it's too big.
That is, though, size aside, that's pretty cool. But that is proper, like, New Year's Eve party type.
Yeah, should I wear it for New Year's Eve? Get it spitted? Or
Yeah.
You see how he literally highlights her stomach with bright green sparkles? I can't take this anymore. And then he has the audacity, he must got it from Pearl, the audacity to suggest for her to tailor a Zara dress that won't survive one wash. Literally go watch a fashion channel. Go watch Ali Art on YouTube and then come back to us when you actually know how to do your job. And it's not just her frumpy style that's preventing her from looks maxing. It's also her presentation with her hair. She's not bothering to style it, and many people are even commenting about it under her TikTok, telling her to brush her hair. Pearl's hair just needs a haircut with some texturing to give it volume so that it's not so stuck and flat to her head. Her hair is very manageable. How is she going to teach other women how to attract a husband when she doesn't even put the minimal effort in her own appearance?
True.
I've noticed
Maybe he's a plant though. Maybe he's like, oh, I'm gonna do this on purpose to make her look like a silly goose, you know?
a lot of therapists are like older single women, and I'm kind of like, if you can't maintain a relationship, why would I take advice from you?
So if she wants,
well, yeah, you can't maintain a relationship either though. So why would people take advice from you about relationships? None of these people in the manosphere have like long-term relationships, by the way. Like all of them just like date fucking children, or if like the men will date children and then the and like legal children, right? But like if you're 35 years old dating an 18-year-old's a fucking child. You know what I mean? Like what do you have in common with that person? It shouldn't be illegal to sleep with them or anything, but like that's your idea of a relationship. Like that's immature as fuck. Like what do you have in common? What do you talk to them about? Like what's the stimulation coming from, you know? What does it piss me off?
Wants to be taken seriously, she should care about her overall presentation, including her fashion, hairstyle, her attitude, and bodily self-care. This situation is so deeply embarrassing and desperate. She has no business telling other women how to attract a husband. I wanted to give Pearl credit for trying to improve on her fashion, but she makes it really hard to do so when even months after this video, she continues to show up on camera with her hair undone, unbrushed, stuck to her head, no volume, and having naughty stains on her clothing.
Ew, it actually looks like my shirts after I come in them and put them in the washing machine. I don't do that though. Damn, I see it too. All men know what that is. Girls, you may not know what that is, but holy shit, that's fucking great. Like, listen, there's nothing wrong with like dressing like shit. Like, I dress like shit all the time, but I also don't give a fuck about people's appearances. So I don't really give a shit. But like, Pearl's constantly going in on people, so it's like that's why we get to have some fun now, you know. But damn, she looks like actual cum stains. Whose is that though? Because nobody sleeps with you. It's fucking crazy. That's nuts.
So I'll just have to instead give Pearl credit for trying to learn how to cook on her wife's school channel.
What? My first time cooking chicken? Dude, what? Why does she have a wife's... Bro, you can't even be a basic person. Not even like a woman. Like, you can't even be a basic person. Everybody should know how to cook. Men and women. This is a good skill. Okay, I learned how to cook. Like, you should know how to cook. You should be able to make food. You should be able to get, like, chicken and throw it on a grill and, like, do decent seasoning and be able to, like, make broccoli and stuff. Like, you should be able to make... Everybody should be able to cook enough to survive for themselves. But the fact that she can is fucking crazy, dude. Why can't I go under this? This is insane. Holy fuck, this game is insane. Dude, what is happening here? How could you say, like, what the fuck? Based on, like, the manosphere shit, women are supposed to be able to do, like, you know, basically they're supposed to be younger mommies. So how come you're not a younger mommy? Because that's what the manosphere is looking for. Like, basically a younger, submissive mommy. Like a mommy that'll do everything for them, but you get to yell at them and say, Mommy, I didn't want this. I wanted Cheerios for dinner. You know? That's what the manosphere wants. Your mother but a child, which is fucking weird. So...
Because it appears she does not know how to. She hasn't been able to attract the men she wants to hook up with her. She hasn't been able to attract a boyfriend. And she doesn't even live by her own standards about presentation. You know who else doesn't adhere to their own standards and the gender they're attracted to isn't attracted to them? Male feminists. Pearl reminds me a lot of a male feminist.
True. I can't even cough. My head hurts so bad. Male feminists are fucking crazy, bro. Like, women are cool and all that stuff, and like I support women's rights, but like being a male feminist is just so fucking weird to me. Like, I don't think that men can be or should identify as a feminist. Like, I'm a man that supports women, but like calling myself a feminist is so cringe. I don't know. There's something weird about it. And most of the male feminists I've seen, I've been like, they do it for like to try to gain the trust of women and then like take advantage of it. It's so fucking weird. So, but that's funny. I feel bad for this person. They're just living their authentic self.
She uses a lot of their tactics, such as misrepresenting statistics.
But unfortunately, we still live in a broken system that says that my work as a white male is worth 46 cents more to the dollar than an equally qualified Hispanic woman.
Pearl is...
I mean, Hispanic women. No, I'm just kidding. Hispanic women work pretty hard. Yeah. That is a bit of a virtue. Like, the wage gap exists, but it's like 1%. When you normalize like all factors, like you know, hours worked and stuff, and like vacations, because women take off more, and like they also raise kids, so they have to put their career on hold and stuff, or they birth kids, which means they have to put your career on hold. there's still a little bit of something in there, but like I think like that 1% is mostly in like managerial positions where women don't advocate for themselves as much. And also there's still some like sexist men in like spheres that like, you know, will hold progress, but socially we're doing better than we ever have before. I think that's changing every day. It just depends on the sphere or the field that you're in, you know. So
willing to accept degrading behavior like being cheated on because she is desperate to attract men.
Yeah, that male feminist thing. I've known a few that were real creeps. They put these women on a platform and worship these women, and they don't run fast. They can't pick things up. They're not attractive. So they're little weasels. They're trying to find another way in.
Pearl doesn't know how to attract men with her social skills, her appearance, or with skills like cooking.
What percent of women have cookbooks?
It's probably because we have the internet for recipes.
What percent of, I don't know, Pearl, what percent of women, do you read your fucking cookbook? My mom made a cookbook. My mom's literally made her own cookbooks. It's crazy. My wife's also a good cook too. She's pretty good at that shit. I found a keeper. I mean, you really will not find a better cook than a fucking fat woman. Let me just be real with you. I love big women, okay? I'm a big man, but you're never going to find a better fucking, you know? It's true. All right, you want to talk shit? Oh, fat women don't deserve love. Let me tell you something, bro. You're never going to have better food than from a healthy, not a thick woman. Healthy, nice and healthy. You know what I mean? Some black guys will call fat women healthy. They say they're healthy. She's a healthy woman. You know what I mean? You know what the fuck I'm saying. You know, it's true. It is goddamn true. You know, it's true. Oh, hey, honey, you want me to make chicken and broccoli tonight? Holy fuck! What am I? A cancer patient? I don't even know what that means. Why would I want chicken and broccoli? No, but actually I do. It tastes pretty good. I had it the other day at the Chinese place. I'm trying to eat healthier. So, anyway, let me move on.
Recipes now, Pearl. But yeah, basically, I think that Pearl has had to resort to these desperate behaviors because she does not embody what men are attracted to. So she has to do things like agree to men cheating on her and degrading herself in order to get a man. It's very desperate.
I am not like those other guys.
And back to her business really quick in regard to her tactics. Her tactics remind me a lot of legacy media in how she fearmongers people in order to make money. I have watched a lot of Pearl's content and I've never seen her give a point to the other side. There's a huge lack of nuance when it comes to her channel. In fact, anytime someone on Pearl's show wants to give nuance, she will not let them do so unless it benefits men.
If we spent this podcast talking about the exceptions, we'd be here all day.
We didn't even get nowhere.
Yeah, there would be no point in having a conversation.
We still need to mention them.
Why?
No,
we don't. It's my show.
And she will go as far as to bait her guest into giving more polarizing, extreme answers.
Whose beauty standards are higher, men or women? I think it depends.
Whose beauty standards are higher? I mean, I guess men's beauty standards are higher. This is like, who cares though, you know?
Okay, wait, I want to make a rule. No, it depends. Pick one and tell me why.
Pearl has gained the entirety of her 1 million subscribers from her fear-mongering, lies, and black and white thinking over just this past year. Pearl teaches men to act like hyper-selfish sociopaths, luring them down the dark path of loneliness, unhealthy relationships, and broken homes. Men taking her advice will result in the same situations that she criticizes women for.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing is like if you're a man and you listen to the Manosphere, you're going to be a failure. So like that's like at least at least we could kind of rest easy with that. It's so funny that you have a group of men that like can't find relationships, so they listen to like men who aren't in relationships and just value themselves based on how much money they make. It's fucking pathetic. Of course you're not going to be able to get anybody. So
Pearl also doesn't teach women to have healthy boundaries, also leading them to the same fate. Taking Pearl's advice will reward you in a worldview as warped as hers, with black and white thinking in our grayscale.
Venti shouldn't be so mean. She used to be the Pearl of the Nick Fuentes Groyper. How did she? I don't really know anything about her, but you know, I guess God bless, right? She seems pretty smart here. Did a lot of research, so.
Reality.
Like, you're going to be okaying what he does, he's going to be okaying what you do. That has nothing to do with masculinity or femininity or anything like that. That's just like two adults having a relationship, figuring out what the boundaries are. You guys talk about things that are basic relationship norms, but you like frame them in the most toxic way possible. I don't understand.
If you do take one piece of advice away from Pearl, let it be this.
I've noticed a lot of therapists are like older single women, and I'm kind of like, if you can't maintain a relationship, why would I take advice from you?
This video took so long to make. I have never researched so much for a video before. So if you do like the content and appreciate me researching her, watching her content for 2 weeks, consider supporting me on Locals or on Patreon because I am community funded. Thank you so much to my producers on Patreon.
Really?
And also, if you guys haven't noticed yet, I have deleted the tweet on my Twitter, so I should be back on Twitter when this video comes out. I figured that I could do more good on the platform by being on
Does she not make money from her videos? What?
it than not being on it for now. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, interesting video.